Alright, we're back for the... come on. There we go. We're back for the Epilogue mission.
It's more like a labor camp. Come on.
Now,
I get the feeling it's deserted.
I'll admit, I honestly, I'm a bit, like, the shock value is definitely there. Like, I had no idea that Call of Duty would ever do this thing, although, before the game's release, we thought that they'd do something about this, because they said, oh, even though, like, we're depicting, you know, real-life battles, we also want to add, like, we wanted to include everything, including the dark aspects of history. This is in an interview with one of the developers for this game. So, but because he didn't say what those atrocities were, he said, oh, just think of Band of Brothers and stuff and all that shock. And it's like, I could only think of one thing, and that was this. And I'm honestly kind of shocked by it.
They must have just left.
There's a barracks over there.
Daniels, you and Styles, check it out. I hello with me.
But, I give them credit for not only touching on a very dark subject, but for also depicting it accurately. Because it's definitely not an easy thing to do, especially when you're talking about one of the most controversial things in human history. Help.
These were our guys. Take out your camera. The world's gotta know.
Precious is the sight of the Lord. Skylar, Adams, Save Us, Bruno, Alf, Last Day. Got all these names of people. I think they actually took, because I know they said they visited some of these sites. I'm pretty sure, I'm not sure if they actually tore down any, like, the Berga concentration camp, but I was watching a documentary on the survivors from that camp, and no one was spared. Prisoners of war were not spared. This is a POW camp. That was also a concentration camp. So these men, American GIs, were basically held under the same conditions as the victims of the Holocaust. They, in fact, were partially victims of the Holocaust. Barry, Marcel in Iowa, Hope, I can't read it. The rest is not legible. But yeah, it's distasteful and very dark.
They had them living worse than animals. From the looks of it. They were beaten, starved, and worked to the bone.
You got one person still dead in here. Actually, you got multiple people. But it's just an awful, awful sight to see. I'm gonna stay quiet probably for the remainder of the video, because it's just...
Over here.
The Nazis had murdered our boys in cold blood, and no fire in hell could burn away the stain.
I'm guessing they made an example out of them.
They'd slaughtered the weakest, anyone that was slowing them down.
Daniels, over here.
Daniels, you gotta see this.
Tracks lead to the fields. That's where they must have marched them. And that's where we're going. I wouldn't get your hopes up, Corporal.
I made a promise to Sussman.
We'll find him. I just can't guarantee we'll find him alive.
Sergeant, I'll take point. Sussman!
Rick, take the shot!
Everything's coming full circle. All I've done, all I wish I'd done. It's like my whole life is leading to this moment.
We need to head home, baby brother.
Paul!
You died right there in the snow.
1938.
All because I couldn't. Damn it. I'm coming, Zussman. You're not gonna die, brother. Not now. Not today. Sussman! Suspect!
What? The fuck?
Rick, take the shot! Take the shot! Take the shot!
Piece of shit.
Is it over? You must be dreaming.
What'd they do?
What? You were left behind. And I'm gonna die alone out here.
Drink some. Easy now.
Okay, come on, let's get out of here. Into the Jeep, come on. Gentle.
You always looked out for me, Paul. And I reckon you did today. Because there's only one thing that keeps you going on that long march. And that's having your brothers beside you.
When history called, you answered. From all walks of life, you came to defend peace and freedom. I thank you and the world.
8 weeks later, Port of
Where
Lehigh.
your path takes you, know this. You will always be amongst a brotherhood of heroes.
This is it, fellas. Zussman wanted you to have it. Yeah, you'll need it more than me. You got a kiddo now.
Thanks for the vote of confidence.
Yeah, you'll be fine. Gentlemen.
Are they with the 16th Infantry Regiment?
Queens! Your prodigal son returns!
He's got the wrong rank on his uniform. It says private.
You gonna be okay? Gotta sit by his husband.
Going home, Sergeant? I am home. What about you? You gonna re-up?
I've been away from Texas for a long time.
You take care, farm boy.
I will. When my son asks what I did, I'll tell him I fought with the first. And that crazy bastard Pearson.
Crazy ain't the half of it.
It's a lot nicer now.
If you're ever in Chicago,
I'll get there.
oh yeah, maybe I'll surprise you in Longview first.
You're welcome anytime.
You know, when they captured us, it wasn't just our freedom that they took. Even though we were together, we were alone, looking for any way to survive. With you could have gone home a hero. Why'd you come back?
I saw that life. Just couldn't live it. The dream was different last night. This time we made it home. Together. I can still hear the wolves, Paul. Sometimes I still see them coming. But you showed me how to fight them. So this belongs to you. Because the sacrifice you made taught me that a hero will risk it all to save his brother. And you'll always be both to me.
And that's the end of Call of Duty World War II. Developed by Sledgehammer Games. Not gonna lie, campaign was awesome. I hope that Activision and all of its developers take notes from this game. That, you know, multiplayer is still something that's yet to be desired because, you know, still supply drops and whatnot, and those, unfortunately, may never go away. But, campaign-wise, I thought the game was great. And I hope that they learn from this and actually start depicting real wars again, because, you know, that's what everybody wanted to see. I hope, though, that the next time around they go and depict World War I or the Korean War, but given, current events, they probably won't do that yet until things have kind of quieted down a bit. But even if they did make a Korean War game during these troubling times, it wouldn't surprise me that they're setting up a game that's controversial enough. I mean, back in the day when Black Ops came out, they had a mission that depicted a bunch of CIA soldiers that were supposed to assassinate Castro, who, at the time, still alive when the game came out, and still had influence in the government of Cuba, and Cuba banned that game. But not this time. Let's see what else. But if they decide to go the other route, they probably should do a World War I game. And because now they've got another character who was involved in that war, allegedly, I mean, according to the wiki, of course. That Metz guy, the last person you kill in this game, was apparently in World War I prior to being in World War II. Because one of his medals was an Iron Cross Second Class from 1914, according to the wiki. But yeah, it'd be nice to see how that game depicts World War I. I mean, Battlefield already did it, but I think Battlefield still had much... Battlefield's campaign was still much to be desired. Because it cut, like... It didn't go into, like, most of the campaigns I would have wanted it to go. Like, they multiplayer-wise, you were on the Russian front, but that wasn't very much. You were in the Middle East. You weren't in any of the colonies in Africa. You weren't on most of the major battles of the Western Front, like Balea Wood. And you most certainly weren't in the Far East with the Japanese army, even though there was only one battle on that particular, like, land battle. It still was an important battle. Not only because the Japanese were fighting on the Allies side at the time, but they also took a German colony there that was very vital to their war effort. And they got to keep those islands soon after the war ended. Most of them, anyway. So, back to that. Characters are as follows. Technical Sergeant William Pearson, Corporal Ronald Red Daniels, Private First Class Robert Zussman, Technician 5th Grade Frank Aiello, Private Drew Stills, Commandant Metz, Paul Thomas Daniels, only in the flashback scenes, Hazel Daniels, give me a moment, Colonel Davis, World War II. I think I mentioned Robert Zussman, did I? Just in case, Private First Class, Robert Zussman, and that was it. Let's see. But yeah. A bunch of other people said that they wanted to see another Vietnam, like a just standalone Vietnam War game, which, I mean, I'd be okay with. I think they covered up most of the things that one would want to see about Vietnam in the Black Ops trilogy, but, you know, if they decided, oh, we wanted to go into more depth and actually show us as how we entered the war and then how we left the war in a game, I'd be okay with that. Even though we've seen missions before where, like, again, there have been multiple Call of Duty games in the Black Ops series that depict the Vietnam War. You have Black Ops DS, Black Ops Declassified. Black Ops 2 briefly mentions it. And they all got most of the key parts down, like Khe Sanh, the Tet Offensive, the U.S. withdrawal, the fall of Saigon. But if anything, I'd like to see them do a World War I or a Korean War game first. I mean, who knows? Guess we'll have to figure out what Treyarch will do because they'll be making the next game. It makes you curious though what they're gonna do now for their next game, because if Treyarch basically ended how things are gonna be for zombies, what's that lead for them? Like, what else is there to fill in? That always made me wonder, because they hyped the zombies storyline in Black Ops 3 so much, and that was, I'm assuming, the final conclusion, the final chapter. But now you're kind of worried that a lot of people are probably not going to buy their next game because they're not going to feature zombies or the way they wanted it. Because people say, oh, there's no zombies mode. He's like, well, they ended it. Well, of course there's not going to be much of a thing there, but who knows? The game hasn't been out yet. Nothing has been mentioned about the next game. However, since it's 2018, either in 2018 or 2019, on behalf of Sledgehammer Games, our heartfelt thanks to all our loved ones and friends who have supported us throughout this development. We couldn't have done it. This game is dedicated to the men and women who served, sacrificed in service of their countries during World War II. Oh, I read that all. But, 2018 or 2019, Activision Blizzard said that they will be making a Call of Duty movie. Oh, he didn't read this part? Ever since I could hold a rifle, I wanted to be like you, Paul. You showed me it's about fighting for the buddy next to you. And if you're lucky, surviving with your soul intact. I'm surprised he didn't read that part. Alright, I'm going to make a separate video on just the collectibles alone, so I'm Captain Alex Mason, and I'll see you guys shortly.